Howdy, me again. I'm going to keep working at this till I get better at it. Got a message for you today. We're going to call this Wake Up. All right. Tell me if you've heard this before. We can't allow a good crisis to go to waste. Remember that? I know you've heard it. You probably commented on it on your Facebook page or some other social media about how the government and media try to manipulate us and use us, and they come up with these excuses every time a crisis takes place, and we can't let a good crisis go to waste. Well, this has been applied to various political situations in recent years, both domestic and foreign, and we see the efforts made by different factions to take advantage of these situations to promote their agenda. I mean, you know that it's there. You've talked about it yourself. You know that the media has an agenda. You know that politicians on both sides of the aisle have an agenda. And that agenda very seldom, if ever, involves our freedom, personal liberty. Excuse me. So you know it's there. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do today is to think about when you've heard me and others talk about things like false flags. As soon as we mention the word false flags, your knee starts to jerk and you start thinking, oh, here we go again, that tinfoil hat crazy conspiracy talk. But the reason there's a thing called false flags, the reason that term exists, is because there have been, throughout history, false flags. Things that are used to manipulate public opinion and to get you thinking the way someone else wants you to think so that you will either do what they want you to do or support what they want you to support. It's there. Look it up. Look up the definition of false flag, okay? It's there for a reason. Now, when you get mad at me, when you get mad at those of us who point these things out to you, I just want you to remember something. I'm not the one trying to take away your liberties. I'm not the one raising your taxes to pay for another government program to further curtail your freedom. I'm not the one creating more government under the guise of we need this to protect you. Okay? I'm not the bad guy here. I have no power over you. I have no power or authority to affect anything in your life. Okay? If you choose to ignore anything I say, then that's fine. That's your business. You can do that. All I can hope to do is get you to think a little bit, to look at what's going on and maybe question the narrative. All right? But I get it. I understand why you do what you do. You've got a life to live. You've got kids. You've got family. You have a job, a mortgage. You've got hobbies. You've got other things you'd rather be doing. You don't want to think about this stuff. It's easier to simply ignore it, pretend it's not there, pretend these things don't happen, and go about your life. Of course, the downside of that is that as long as you continue to ignore these things, they continue to happen, you continue to be manipulated, things continue to change, and you have less and less freedom as days go by. Okay? So that's why it's important that you break free from this mindset that anybody who questions the narrative must be some kind of nut. Maybe some people are. I don't think I am. I hope you don't think I am. But if you do, that's your prerogative. So when something comes up in the news, when some big story happens, of course the most recent one being the shooting in Orlando, understand that when somebody says false flag, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. For example, if the government knows of somebody who may shoot up a place or may set off a bomb somewhere, they've done the investigation, they've got the evidence, they know this person might actually do something bad, rather than arrest them or stop them or keep it from happening, it is allowed to happen so that as a result, they can advance their agenda. What's the current agenda with the Obama administration right now. What's the big thing they're pushing for? Gun control. They want to take your guns. Now, they'll tell you, and some of my friends have even said this, oh, no, the government doesn't want to take your guns. They just want common sense gun control. They just want to register things. They just want to keep certain people from getting certain kinds of guns. Bullshit. Absolute, utter, undeniable bullshit. They do want to take your guns. There's no other reason for registering guns. It has no other purpose. And in their darkest, deepest, secret moments when they don't think anyone's looking or watching, they've actually said these things. They want to take our guns. So whenever you hear one of these people that says, oh, well, I'm pro-Second Amendment. I think people should be able to own certain kinds of guns, but we're just talking common sense gun control. The government's not going to take your guns. Quit trying to tell people that. That's not going to happen. Ask anybody who survived Katrina if the government will come take your guns. Go on YouTube. There are dozens of videos of the police going to law-abiding citizens' homes at a time when they most need those weapons for self-defense from looters, and the government is going to their homes, your local heroes in the police department, and taking their guns. They haven't broken any laws. They didn't do anything to necessitate the police coming to their homes and taking their guns, but they did. So don't you dare sit there in your self-righteous indignation and tell me that the government is not going to try to take my guns. They will. But how do they do that? How do they justify it? How do they get the support they need from the people to justify their actions and so that the people will support it? Well, they have to create incidences which make you angry, which make you sad, which make you demand action. Something must be done. We can't have these guns out here in the streets. Look what these crazy people are doing with these guns. So yes, Mr. and Mrs. Government official, you go ahead and you have the police and the military start kicking in doors and taking guns from people because they shouldn't have them anyway. Do you see how it works? Okay. Now, I'm going to try to keep this video much shorter than the last one. I apologize for the length of that last one, but I get wound up sometimes. It's hard for me to stop. I'm going to leave you with this thought. If you think false flags don't happen or that there's not a reason or a purpose behind them, I'm going to remind you of something. Anybody here remember the Vietnam War? Most of us are old enough to have been alive when that took place. We got into that war because President Johnson wanted us in that war, but he knew that the vast majority of American people did not want America getting involved in another foreign war. There's no reason for us to be there. So we had to create some sort of pretext. There had to be a reason. We had to do something to get the support of the American people to get behind this idea that we need to be in a war in Vietnam. Gulf of Tonkin incident. I'm going to wait a second. I'm going to wait until your knee stops jerking. Because I know right now many of you, especially my right-wing friends, are thinking, oh, Floyd, here you go again. You just hate the military. You hate police. You hate the government, blah, blah, blah. Folks, none of that has anything to do with anything. The fact is, the Gulf of Tonkin incident has now been declassified. It is a fact. You can look it up yourself that it was a lie. It never happened. But you didn't know that because you're sitting over here 8,000 to 12,000 miles away from Southeast Asia, and you don't have a clue what's going on over there. All you know is what the media is telling you, what the government is telling you, and what the military is telling you. And you want to believe them. So you do believe them. So now the American people support the idea of going to war in Vietnam. And we did. And you know what? 58,000 Americans died in that war. A war that was a lie. A war we did not have to be in. A war that we should not have been in. 58,000. You okay with that? Are you okay with the fact that your government lied to you to get us into a war, and now 58,000 Americans died? So the next time you want to look at me and call me names, make fun of me or others who try to point these things out to you, you just think about that. And that's just one of several incidences. You can look up false flags, and you all day long you'll be seeing stuff that will just blow your mind that has been done, stuff that has been declassified or proven to have been false flags. Now, if the government has lied to you before, do you think that they might lie to you again? Wake up, people.